Our new Feminist International Assistance Policy is the most ambitious and progressive in the history of Canada's diplomacy. It will make Canada a global leader in promoting gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls.
International Development Minister Marie-Claude Bibeau earlier today unveiling what the government is calling a new feminist development policy, $150 million over the next 5 years to women's organizations in 30 countries. But here's the catch, none of it is new money. I want to bring in Julia Sanchez from the Canadian Council for International Cooperation to get some reaction. So what do you think? Obviously, this is a reshuffling from funds coming from an existing budget, so no new additional money. But what's your reaction to this?
So a couple of points. First of all, the policy itself, what it says, fantastic. It's bold, it's courageous. It comes at a time where the world needs countries stepping up and being bold and courageous.
So you support the intent?
Absolutely. So the feminist approach, the focus on gender equity, women and girls, we think is fantastic. And we agree with the analysis that if we can tackle that bit, if we can really shift the needle on the condition of women and girls, women empowerment, gender equality, then we can address a whole host of issues around poverty, discrimination, inequality, et cetera. So very inspiring vision. So we're thrilled about that.
I sense a but.
But, as you mentioned, there is an issue around the money. So just want to clarify, the $150 million announcement is just embedded in the policy, but it's not what this is all about. It's much larger than that. They're actually saying that by 2021, they hope that 95% of all of the budget, so the $5 billion approximately current budget, will be dedicated indirectly or directly to promoting gender equality, women and girls empowerment. That is a huge statement. It's a huge ambition. And given that it is a flatlined budget, as I think you stated, it hasn't moved in a long time or marginally, it is going to be very challenging to see a quick shift to a new focus, to really increase, for example, the $150 million fund is going to take us from 2% going directly to bilateral aid going directly to women's groups to 15%. That's a big shift. And so when you don't have new funds injected into the system, it's very tricky to get that done expediently, quickly, and without affecting other programming.
So who are the winners and the losers? Because obviously when there's a reapportioning of any money, it's obviously coming from one pool and going into another. So what types of programs could be underfunded as a result of this?
We don't know the answer, and I'm not sure Global Affairs has that clear as well, but I think it's understood. You're right. The money has to come from somewhere, so we will have to stop doing something as Canada. Some programs that are on the ground, where we have partners, long-term commitments, where we've had successes potentially, will have to give in order to shift funds from their existing focus to this new focus. And I'll remind you that on March 8th, on International Women's Day, the Minister and the Prime Minister announced a new fund of $650 million for sexual health and reproductive rights. That's an even larger amount, which also is not new money, and which is, very much in line with this new vision, this new approach, but that has to be found within the existing budget. So this is something that we think is going to hinder the effectiveness of this policy. It's going to limit the potential that the policy has, and we think it needs to be addressed soon.
The UN has this target of 0.7% of gross national income when it comes to foreign aid. I know that Britain has accomplished that target. We have not over successive governments. On one hand, Canada seems to be saying, look, we are here to work with multilateral institutions such as the UN. On the other hand, there are so many domestic priorities that investment to getting to that target has not yet been made. What message is Canada sending to the international community by not adhering to that target?
Well, that's a great question, I think, for us to be asking ourselves this week in particular, because we've had, three big international moments. So we had Minister Freeland's speech, which was setting the scene for Canada's ambition and us wanting to lead, to step up to the plate, recognizing there's a void right now in the global sphere. Then we had the defense announcement, which said, $14 billion new dollars over the next next 10 years for our military capacity. And then we have the International Assistance Review, which allocates $0 new dollars over the next while for that piece. So what is the message that we're sending to the world when we're saying we are going to beef up and strengthen our military capacity, defense capacity, even peacekeeping capacity, what fits in there, but we're shifting the focus, we're making it much more interesting, potentially much more incisive and impactful, but we're not investing a single penny more in that. So that is a worrying message, I think, to be sending the world.
Money to boost defense, but not development.
Yeah.
All right. Julia Sanchez, always appreciate the perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much.